Can't okay, I guess I'm unmuted.
No, we can hear you. Arlene, I have a question.
What?
Do we have any more copies of the zoning code around? Mine is falling apart.
And so is mine. I'm gonna say, but you know that they're gonna be doing their revision, so, but,
Well, that's true. I can tough it out for a little longer.
but
I never
say
needed a cover anyway.
mine is worse. But I like mine because it got all notation. Paul, did you receive the report for the Airbnb?
Yes, thank you, thank you.
Six people in the waiting room. We've got about 1 minute and everything is ready to go. All right.
Okay, we need, we're waiting
Justin.
for,
Here comes Justin.
okay, we got Justin, and then we just need Kat. We will give her 1 more minute.
Justin, I sent more
Yeah,
info about your thing.
It's just pictures though, right?
Hi, Justin.
Yeah.
What's
It's not a
Kat?
site plan, Arlene,
What's
right?
Kat?
It's just pictures.
There's also a map or a parcel showing the identifying the structures.
Oh, I didn't see that. Okay.
What's Kat's last name?
Maxianova.
Maxinova. Okay, thank you.
I just have the pictures, Arlene, not the other one.
I'll resend it.
It's not in the setbacks though, right?
No, I know. Believe me, I said we need a setback, but he said those structures were there before. And it's not modifying or moving anything.
All right, we're gonna start, Fred, and
Okay, ready to go.
Kat can join us when she gets here.
Okay.
Okay. Like to call the Town of Clinton Planning Board meeting to order at 7:31 on Tuesday, April 20th, 2021. Due to COVID-19 pandemic and pursuant to Executive Order number 202.1 issued on March 12, 2020, suspending the open meetings law and emergency state and federal bans on large meetings or gatherings, the Town of Clinton Planning Board scheduled for April 20th, 2021 will be held electronically via Zoom instead of a public meeting open for the public to attend in person. Members of the public may view the board meeting as it is live streamed on YouTube. www.townofclinton.com/government/planning-board-videos/ Okay, the first item on the agenda is the Mahoney area variance. Do we have anybody in the waiting room for Mahoney?
I don't know. I have 8
It's
people
Chris
there.
Architects. Why don't you just let them in, all of them?
Okay.
Okay, is there anybody for the Mahoney area variance?
James Cripps.
Should be crisp, right?
Yeah.
Yes, hi. Here's Jimmy Crisp. Joe Melito is also on the line.
Okay,
Sorry.
That's better.
okay. Who do we have now? We got, Chris.
I'm Jimmy Chris.
Okay, hi, Jimmy. How are you tonight?
Hi, real good, real good.
Okay, if you can just briefly explain to us what's going on here, and then we'll go from there. This is a two-step process. We will review the application and then make a recommendation to the Zoning Board of Appeals, either yay, nay, or neutral. And the Zoning Board of Appeals will then make the final decision. Okay?
Okay.
All
Yeah.
right.
I'm
here.
hoping Joe Melito, who is also, yes, from Crisp
I'm here.
Architects. He's the project architect and knows all the details. And hopefully Joe can take it from here.
I am
I'm
here.
gonna show the site plan, Joe, all right? Is that what
Okay.
you want, the site plan?
I figure we start with the description.
Yeah, start with your narrative.
Okay. The project consists of the construction of a new guest cottage and garage. However, the square footage is 1,290 square feet, which is over the allowed 1,000. So we are asking for a variance of code 250-29, section B6.
Okay.
This project was previously approved back in 2018. Just due to various circumstances, construction was not able to begin before the variance expired.
Okay. Okay, so some of us are familiar with this. We were here a couple of years ago. Jack?
Yeah, how does the new project differ, if at all, from the prior one?
The building only differs slightly where on the, if you're looking at this site plan,
Mhm.
you will see to the lower part of the garage, there is a small 20-foot bump out, correct, right there. That is the only change.
Okay,
And that will be just the storage space.
in the prior application, the applicants told the ZBA that they wanted this to provide living quarters for one of their parents, an 87-year-old woman. I'm hoping that's still true, but can you tell us what the current purpose of the building is?
We have not been told differently. So to our knowledge, that is the same reason.
Cool. Okay.
Good.
I have no other, we've been here before. It's what that famous line attributed to Yogi Berra, it's deja vu all over again. So I don't have too many questions about this.
Anybody else before Jack goes ahead? Anybody else got questions for the applicants? Okay, go for it, Jack.
I'm sorry, all right, Jack, we wanna underscore that they have to do the special permit too, because
That's separate, right?
Yeah.
But that's not before us today, right?
Yeah,
It's-
but we just wanna let them know that they have to redo that also.
Right. And they say they've applied for that, so I understand that. So whereas applicants Michael and Deborah Mahoney seek a recommendation from the planning board for an area variance to have an accessory dwelling unit of 1,290 square feet, which is in excess of the 1,000 square feet permitted by section 250-29B6. In a larger building they propose to construct on their 25-acre property in an AR5 zone at 27 Shadblow Lane in the town of Clinton, long number, deep breath. Similar relief has been granted before. After a positive recommendation by the planning board, the zoning board of appeals granted a variance with certain conditions on August 24th, 2017 to allow the construction of an accessory dwelling unit of 1,437 square feet on the second story of a 3,187 square foot building on the property. However, the variance expired before construction began, and so applicants are before us again. The new proposed building, which includes a 3-bay garage and storage area, would be 3,195 square feet, which is slightly larger than the 3,187 previously approved. However, the variance sought here for the accessory dwelling unit is only 290 square feet rather than the 437 square feet variance previously allowed by the ZBA. It does not appear the situation has changed significantly since the prior application. At that time, applicants told the ZBA that the accessory dwelling unit was for the then 87-year-old mother of one of the applicants, and the ZBA discussed that factor. However, the ZBA also discussed other possible uses for the unit, such as for caretakers or family or inheritance that were clearly long-term. The only conditions the ZBA imposed were that the parcel be maintained at a minimum of 15 acres, that all lighting be downward, and that all fees be paid. ZBA viewed the various criteria for an area variance, such as no change to the neighborhood, very substantial size, etc., and found those criteria were met. We respectfully incorporate and restate the ZBA's conclusions in that regard by reference here. Applicants state that they are seeking a special permit and site plan approval from the planning board for the accessory dwelling unit, but that matter will be dealt with separately by the planning board. Now therefore be it resolved that the planning board of the town of Clinton makes a positive recommendation to the ZBA with respect to the applicant's request for an area variance to allow an accessory dwelling unit of 1,280 square feet instead of the maximum 1,000 square feet permitted by section 250-29B6, subject to the same conditions imposed by the ZBA in its prior variance approval.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Discussion?
Arlene, do you have the, you don't have the minutes from the last time we looked at this? I just want to make sure I vote the same way.
Can I send it to you?
You sent the ZBA minutes. I didn't see the planning board minutes. I'm just curious.
Consistency is the hobgoblin of little mom.
I know. Was it unanimous or?
What do you mean, the resolution?
The planning board, did we all vote for it?
Hold on.
It's the same exact thing, so I'm just curious.
Hold on. Oh, you mean the vote?
I'm pretty sure you did, but
Yes.
Okay.
memory does fail me.
I can't, yeah, I can't think of, I'm sure.
I know we renew it a couple of times.
Okay,
Hold
that's
on.
fine.
But
Don't worry about
hold on, it doesn't take me long.
Don't worry about it.
Here, hold on, just give me.
Okay. Any other discussion? No? Okay, all those in favor of the resolution?
Jack.
Art, aye.
Jerry, aye.
Sarah, I.
Okay,
Oh, aye.
opposed? Okay, so moved. Okay, you'll be going in front of the zoning board. Arlene, can you give them a date?
The 27th.
Okay,
This month?
No, May, sorry,
Oh,
once a month.
Okay.
My ZBA is Thursday, this Thursday. So it's next.
So we have
month.
to wait till May. Okay.
Yes,
Oh,
it's once a month.
thank you, Arlene.
Okay.
And thank you all. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right. Have a good night.
have a good night.
too.
Bye-bye. Okay, the next item on the agenda is Merkill area variance on Rimpf Road. Do we have anybody in the audience representing this applicant?
Yes, I'm Elizabeth Cobb, and I am the owner of Merkel LLC.
And
Okay,
this is Bill Cornwell. I'm the designer and project manager on this.
okay, we have one other person there.
This is my partner, Dennis.
Hello.
Okay. All right, if you can briefly explain what's going on, and then we'll get into the details.
Sure. So I bought this property in 2019 in November. I moved to the Hudson Valley permanently in that year. And it was recommended to me that I read the cover letter that I submitted with my application, since it does a good job of summarizing all of the issues at play right now. Is that all right?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay. In late 2019, we purchased the property at 77 Rimpf Road. At the time, we were under the impression that we were purchasing a property with a legal guest house. A municipal search was performed, and the building department provided a letter dated 11/8/2019 stating that there were no known violations. We were also provided a certificate of occupancy for the pool house dated June 27th, 2002. And at the time of purchase, and to this date, the town's tax records indicate the existence of a kitchen and 2 bathrooms in the pool house. Based on these 3 documents, we believe that everything was legitimate. We recently requested a building permit to renovate both the main house and the pool house, and were notified that the pool house was in violation. We are hoping to bring it into compliance and are applying for a variance for an accessory dwelling unit. Do you want me to? Do I need to write through the rest of them?
No, but just mention specifically.
Sorry, 1 second.
Yeah, that's right here.
It's right here. Oh, so we're requesting a variance under code 250-29B for an accessory. 6B6, okay.
Accessory dwelling unit.
For an accessory dwelling unit. And Bill, I don't know if you want to jump in.
Yeah, sure. So, we were alerted to the fact that the property was in violation. And, I'm familiar with the fact that you're not supposed to have plumbing in an accessory structure. It has to be an accessory dwelling unit. So we actually did some digging, and I did a bunch of FOIL requests to see what was actually approved for this property originally. And we found ZBA minutes from 1999 where a variance was granted to allow 6 accessory buildings on the property that included the pool house. That's why they went for that variance. We found approved septic plans for a 2-bedroom guest house from the Dutchess County Department of Health. And we found construction plans that were held by the town of Clinton showing that the pool house contained 2 bathrooms and a wet bar. So we believe that the existence of plumbing in the structure is not a cause for a violation, given that it was part of the original plan, that the septic field was approved by the health department. So what we do acknowledge is that the town did not approve kitchen appliances in that guest building, the pool house, and they didn't approve a bedroom and bathroom on the 2nd story. Those were installed after the certificate of occupancy was granted for the pool house illegally. And so the pool house is in excess of 1,000 square feet, and the owners are looking to bring it into compliance and apply for a special permit for the accessory dwelling unit, but we believe that a variance is obviously required given the excess square footage.
Okay, Justin?
Yeah, you guys gave a great summary, and I think all the background is helpful. For the board's purposes, I don't know what people want to focus on, right? This is the size of the structure. It's about 1,800, 1,900 square feet, was fine because when it was approved, right, since it was just an accessory structure, you're not subject to the accessory dwelling limit. And that was the debate in 1999, is they're saying it looks like a dwelling, and then they have a back and forth and say, well, if you take out a kitchen and make a wet bar and take out a bedroom and make it storage space, right, we'll say that it's not an accessory dwelling, and therefore you're not subject to 1,000 square feet and you can be as big as you want, right? And so that's how it went forward. And then, right, the owners, who knows when, a day later, a week later, 10 years later, right, turned around and did what the ZBA was worried about, which is put in the stove and a fridge in the big kitchen area that was a kitchenette, and turned the storage space in the roof into a bedroom and bathroom. I don't know, I think there's like a philosophical debate about like, what do we care, right? If someone else made that mistake and it's gone on for so long, and then the tax records, right, that these, you know, people saw when they purchased it show an accessory dwelling with 2 bedrooms and 1 bathroom and a kitchen in it, right? And I think relied on that when they were purchasing the house. And, you know, it just seems like there was a kind of a break in the chain of custody of what was supposed to happen in this building at some point. You know, I think from a, you know, taking the history out of it, if you just look at the property, it's a 31-acre flag lot. It's set way in the back off of Rimpf Road, and it's set up as like a nice kind of, you know, adult compound playground, right? With a nice pool, a nice tennis court, a beautiful garage, and a house, and this pool house. So in terms of, you know, seeing something or seeing a structure, like, I don't think that's the concern here. It's more, in my mind, the history, you know, that goes along with this. And to, you know, I'm not sure how people feel about having to, you know, look back at those, you know, old records from 20 years ago and how we deal with that.
Okay, anything from the other members of the board?
Is this going to be your primary residence, or do you plan to use it for any commercial activities outside of just your living space?
Sure. So this is my primary and my only residence. I am very close to my family and my friends, and so we wanted to have a guest house, and we're really excited when we found this property. When we found the property, it had been abandoned for over 10 years. All the windows were broken. There was trash everywhere, grass up to my knees. And we really just want to restore it to its former beauty and make it into what it was intended to be, which is a very relaxing place to spend time with friends and family in a responsible way.
Mm-hmm.
And no plans to Airbnb and things like that.
No.
Mm. Yeah, I mean, I looked at the history, and it seems like there was a number of, you know, transactions with the property. I think it had a tax lien. It was sold for a tax lien in the past. And I think it seemed like it went kind of downhill. So if you could restore it to, you know, proper condition and raise the assessment again as it should be, then I think that could be a positive.
Yeah.
I don't know what other members think.
I agree with that.
Can I just?
So, go ahead, Paul.
I think it's, yeah, I don't have any problem with what's being proposed, and I appreciate the applicants are trying to, you know, get this into compliance. The way I'm looking at this is it should be viewed as a new application. They're completely renovating the building, and they're going to apply for a special permit for the dwelling. And for me, the sticking point is the size of the variance that's going to be required. You know, it's we just approved one that was 290 square feet over the limit. This is over 900 square feet over the limit. So, you know, we can have arguments over, you know, where do you draw the proverbial line, but that's almost double the limit, the legal limit. And I think if you start granting a variance of that magnitude, you know, what do you say to the next person who comes in with something of a similar size? And you've basically rewritten the zoning law in that area, and it may need rewriting, but that's unfortunately not what we're supposed to be doing. So I don't have a problem with the proposal, but it's just, you know, if you grant one for 1900 and change, I don't know how you say no to the next person, where it's a total renovation with, you know, some discretionary, you know, it's 2 bedrooms and 2 baths. If it could be made smaller, I'm not saying the building has to be made smaller, but if the actual dwelling could be made smaller, I could be more comfortable with the variance. That's kind of just the way I'm looking at it.
Okay.
If the bottom stayed a pool house essentially and the top was a dwelling, would that
that's
slim down the variance required? Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Is that just semantics though, to say, right, like the living room and the bathrooms are pool buildings and the 2 bedrooms are going to be dwellings? Like, it seems to me like a structure should, you know, as a structure is either a dwelling or it's not a dwelling. You can't say half as I don't know.
Well, I mean, we've had buildings where, the bottom's a garage and the top's the apartment, so you can bifurcate, within the same building. I take your point. You're absolutely right. I just,
You got a kitchen, right? You got a kitchen, a bathroom, and a bedroom downstairs, a bathroom and a bedroom upstairs. It's hard for me to draw on a floor plan where
well, the building's being, it looks like the building's being completely rebuilt. So there are options.
Well, actually, the footprint of the building, and in fact, most of the interior walls are not moving. It's really, we're removing one. There was 2 bathrooms downstairs and 1 upstairs. We're removing one of the downstairs bathrooms and replacing it with a bedroom because it was a huge bathroom. But it's kind of if you ever were inside of this building, you'd see it's got very tall ceilings, and the upstairs only takes up a small portion of that. So it's cathedral ceilings, and then there's a staircase on the side that goes up where the bedroom and bathroom are. So that's where it is a little bit of a challenge to delineate that space in that building as it exists.
Yeah, I went and saw it today, Paul, and to me, it's a gut renovation. But if we're doing what you're suggesting, it's like what happened in 1999, where they're like, oh, let's not put a bedroom upstairs and have it storage, and then it becomes a bedroom the next day. And I just think we should kind of own it and just.
I tend to agree with that. I mean, we're getting into philosophy now, but if our overriding goal is to maintain the rural character of this area, we can't expect to have a lot of people coming in putting up dairy farms, and we sort of have to deal with what people reasonably want to do. So this is, while it is a renovation, it sounds like it's certainly an improvement over the prior situation where it was going to, to rot and ruin. And I think, we should try and work with folks, especially on a property where it won't be visible from the road, I gather. And, will involve significant work and effort.
Yeah, and to piggyback on kind of what Jack was saying, right? And I went through all the factors, right, in the accessory dwelling and the special use permit, right? And to me, a lot of those are about being in harmony with, right, the district and your neighbors, right? The impact on the neighbors, the visibility, traffic, congestion, population density, all of those things. And so for most of those factors, right, I find them non-issues, right? With the one glaring exception being the size, which, as Paul rightly acknowledges, is almost double what the limit is. But in terms of everything else, right, that the house is going to be owner occupied, it's a maximum of 2 bedrooms, it's subordinate to a principal, right? I think it checked all those boxes. And so, right, and to kind of go back to your question, Paul, of like, how do you delineate it? In my mind, those are a lot of important factors that would get me to the point where, yes, I could see approving something that's substantially larger because it checks every other box. It's not in a setback. It's not visible, right? It's all of these other things.
Yeah, I guess I would make a couple points. One, there's no guarantee that these owners will be there forever. So the next person may use this for some other purpose if it's approved. And the other thing is, I don't think visibility is really maybe the point of that limitation. It's really that, you don't want to have effectively two principal dwellings on the same, piece of property. This is at 1,900 square feet, 2 bedrooms, 2 baths, is the size of a principal dwelling in some parts of this town. So it's a basically, in some people own houses that are smaller than this. So that's what I'm struggling with. I'm sympathetic to the history and I appreciate the applicants came in and they're trying to get this done the right way. I have no problem with any of that. I'm just struggling with the way the law is written right now and whether you can waive that significant, give that significant a variance. That's all.
If I may, Paul, I just wanted to point out that there was a variance that was granted on this property on December 2nd, 1999. So I would ask the question, if if that variance in fact addressed this size question at that moment.
Well, it sounded like when I read the minutes, that's a good, I mean, the variance was for the number of structures from 3 to 6. And then there was a very, I don't know if you looked at the minutes, there was a very long discussion of what do we do? You know, there's water, there's, you know, and the board went around and around about, you know, if you want to have an accessory dwelling, you have to do it with a special permit, but you can't do it because the size is too big.
Right.
And you would need a variance, and the owner at that point did not want to go through that whole, you know, process, apparently.
And since it wasn't approved as an accessory dwelling, there's no square footage limitation, right, on the accessory structure. So they didn't have to deal with this question.
Yeah.
Right, if it was 1,000 or not.
Right. And I just did want to mention that this is a property I am planning on keeping for the rest of my life. This is where I wanted to start a family. This is where I fell in love with this area. I own my own business, so it's not a problem in terms of having to move someplace else. And this project, frankly, has been very long and challenging. And I'm really looking forward to just getting it all done and never having to do this again.
Well,
Get that a lot.
I think this really boils down to whether or not the board feels comfortable giving a recommendation, a positive recommendation for the size, for the variance for this size, which is almost double what the current law says. Obviously, we, as the planning board, will just give a recommendation. The zoning board will make, does not have to follow our recommendation. They will make the final decision whether you're going to get a variance on the size, which I think is the main, as far as I can see from everybody's comments, that's definitely the main problem here is this. It's a very, very large, significant variance. So,
I mean, is any part of this going to be used as a pool house still, or is this essentially just a guest house?
So I'm not quite sure. I guess I see it as a guest house, but I don't completely know what is involved in a pool house.
Good
So
point.
the entire first floor, and Elizabeth, please, you know,
Sure.
chime in if I'm not, if I'm speaking out of line, but the whole first floor is open. So it's one large open space with a lower area that was originally, I think, being used as like a gaming area. And then there's a raised sort of lofted area on that's still part of that main floor, which is like a dining area. And then the kitchen is right there. So it's one large open space, which is definitely conducive to if you're hanging out by the pool and you want to go inside and have some air conditioning. You know, I would imagine that you guys would use it as a, you know, as a pool house when you don't have guests there.
Is there a closet in the first floor bedroom?
There is, but well, I mean, there's a proposed closet, yes.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say,
The
could you-
proposed closet would be underneath the stairwell that goes up to the second floor.
Oh, I see it now. Yeah. I was thinking like, I mean, back to Paul's point of, can you bifurcate the space? Can you call the first floor the pool house and the bedroom is a changing room with a bathroom, and then upstairs you have a dwelling that's a bedroom and a bathroom? But
What about, is there any option for subdivision?
No, I don't believe so, because it's only got 50 feet of road frontage. It's a flag lot.
Road frontage.
I think that was actually discussed back in 1999 when the first variance was granted.
yeah, so it's on 31 acres in an AR3 zoning area, but the configuration of the lot, there's no
It's not conducive.
entrance.
Yeah. I mean, if there was a way to call the bottom half of the house or stay closer to the original intent, which was the pool house, and then get a variance for the smaller upstairs dwelling unit, I think that sets a better precedent.
So
for the town.
my question there would be so let's say the downstairs remains a pool house, the upstairs becomes the dwelling unit. There is plumbing in the downstairs. So there's a bathroom and and that's where the kitchen would be.
Yeah, the kitchen. Yeah.
that's going to create an issue with having it be an accessory structure, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I think, Justin, I think, if you've got a resolution, and we can vote, you know, yay, nay, or abstain, or neutral, or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, I
We can
think
talk
I'd like
about
to,
this all night, I think.
yeah, I agree. So I'm going to read this, and then maybe in the discussion we can focus on if you want, if we folks want to do a positive or neutral, I'll just leave out that word in the resolution, and see if we have a consensus. So resolution of the Town of Clinton Planning Board making a blank recommendation to the Zoning Board of Appeals on the requested variance to section 250-29 regarding the habitable square footage of an accessory structure to be converted into an accessory dwelling requested by Merkel LLC on a property located at 77 Rimpf Road in the Town of Clinton in the AR3 zoning district, whereas the applicant is seeking a permit to convert, an area variance and a special permit to convert an existing pool house / accessory structure into an accessory dwelling. The property is on a flag lot on a 31.61 acre lot in an AR3 zoning district. The property is not within the Ridgeline Scenic and Historic Protection Overlay District. The property is not in a critical environmental area. The variance requested is substantial as the existing accessory structure's square footage of 1,859 square feet is almost double the maximum of 1,000 square feet permitted for an accessory dwelling under 250-29. However, if a variance is granted, the accessory dwelling will be subordinated in use to the principal house and will be within the footprint of an existing structure. An undesirable change will not be produced in the character of the neighborhood or be detrimental to nearby properties, as the accessory structure will not be visible from the road or neighboring properties. The benefit sought by the applicant cannot be achieved by some other method without, demolishing part of the structure. The proposed variance should not have an adverse effect or impact on the physical and environmental conditions of the neighborhood. The alleged difficulty is self-created, but should not necessarily preclude the granting of the area variance. The applicant has filed or will file an application for a special use permit, which shall be considered separately by the planning board. Now therefore be it resolved, the planning board is making a blank recommendation for the approval of this requested variance to the ZBA.
May I suggest that we start off with a positive and see how that goes, and one way or another, we'll get the feel of the board. So,
okay.
So just read that again. Read that little part again, Justin.
Sure. So now therefore be it resolved, the planning board is making a positive recommendation for the approval of this requested variance to the Clinton ZBA.
Okay. Second.
Second.
Okay. Discussion.
I'm not sure if this was mentioned before, but how does the square footage of the rehab structure compare to the existing square footage of the building?
It's about, of the, just the accessory structure, Jack. I think they're coming down by about 10 feet.
Yeah, and of the building as a whole?
The main house, I think, is about 3,800 square feet. And this is 1860. And that's coming down from about 1870.
So it'll be slightly smaller than the existing structure, more.
The footprint of the structure is not changing at all.
Yeah, it's just closet or stairs or something.
So if we don't grant the variance, we still have a structure of more or less the same size on the property because of the history.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Apparently so.
Well, sorry.
Apparently so.
Well, but it's a pool house. It's a pool house, Jack. It's not a.
Right.
Yes,
We have a pool
it
house.
is
Very, very big pool house.
but it's the same. It's still a structure. It's still the same size.
Yeah, it's an accessory structure, just not a dwelling.
Yeah, I understand that. And Paul's absolutely right that it's not an accessory dwelling unit. And there the because of the wisdom of the town board 1,000 years ago, the rules are different as to the permitted square footage. I take that point.
Okay, now, I'm gonna ask for a vote. I want everybody to be very clear when you, whatever way you vote, your name and how you're voting. Okay, all in favor?
Jack, I.
Justin, I.
Okay. Opposed?
Paul, no.
Jerry, no.
Art, no.
Sarah, no.
Okay,
What did Sarah say? I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
No.
so it's 4 to,
Katarina, you Katarina too.
Abstain.
what was your vote? I'm sorry, Kat.
Abstain.
Abstain.
You abstain.
You abstained? Okay, so it was, it's 4 to 2 and 1 abstained.
Yep. So you want to do it with a neutral, redo it with a neutral ending to the resolution and try that?
How does
Or
the
you want to go
board,
negative?
how does the
What is
board,
vote? I
how
mean,
does the board feel about that?
technically you guys voted and that was the outcome. So are you voiding out this whole thing?
Well,
No, you can make a second motion.
yeah,
It's a different motion.
right. We voted approval down. Okay?
We
That's
voted down a
one.
positive recommendation.
Right, we voted down a positive recommendation. Now we can go neutral or negative. How does the board feel about that? Any discussion on that?
I would do, I mean, I voted positive, but I would do neutral, right? I think you highlight Paul's point that this is a major variance to the 1,000 square feet. But the other points that, I think it complies with the rest of the town code, and the ZBA can determine how much they want to get into, going against the legislative words in the statute. But
Well,
the building is there.
Can I say something? The ZBA is always confused every time you do a neutral. They want a reason why neutral, because is it more a negative or positive? So they're kind of like torn about that neutral every time you do a neutral.
I will write in that it's neutral because there are positive factors, which are like the 8 that aren't material, and then there's one big negative one. And so 8 positive and 1 big negative is why we get neutral. If it's all positive or all negative, we'd give them a positive or a negative recommendation.
I agree with that. The board, ZBA can read,
I agree with that also. Justin, you want to do read a neutral?
Do you want me to read the whole thing again, or just
No, just no.
So I'll make a motion to do the same body of the resolution with sufficient detail for the ZBA to have words to read, and it will end now. Therefore, be it resolved, the planning board is making a neutral recommendation regarding approval of this requested variance to the Clinton ZBA.
We have a second?
Second.
Okay. Discussion. Okay, I think, Justin, just as you said before, clarify why we're doing this.
I was gonna say, yeah, sorry.
I think that's important. Like you said, we have 8 positives and 1 major negative. How far the town wants to go on this, we can't make that decision. We can only make a recommendation. So if you can do that, I think then we can take a vote.
Yep.
Okay. All right. All in favor?
Jack, I.
Justin, I.
Art, aye.
Sarah, I.
Jerry, aye.
Cat, I.
Okay.
Paul,
Opposed?
Paul, aye.
All right, okay, so moved. Okay. So to the applicants, this is, sorry we couldn't give it a more firm answer for you here, but it's really going to come down to what the ZBA wants to do in interpretation of the law, since it is such a substantial increase in size. So Arlene will give you a date, and good luck for you.
Thank you. And thank you so much for considering this matter. I appreciate it.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Okay, next item on the agenda. Burns and Vega Airbnb.
Hello, I'm Taryn
There you
Burns.
are.
Hi, this is my husband, Carlo Vega.
Hello, everyone.
We purchased a house at 468 Lake Drive in November of last year. And sorry?
No, go ahead.
We have been sort of fixing it up slowly with the hope that we will be able to Airbnb it as a short-term rental part-time and use it for our family the other half of the time. We've made some small improvements. The house hadn't really been fixed up very much since it was built in '92. So we've been taking care of that. And our hope is to continue to make improvements to the house. We need to do a new roof and some landscaping. And our intention with Airbnb the property is to generate income in order to maintain the property and also to, contribute to fixing it up. We live there part-time. We have 2 children, and we really love the house. We love the town. And we are, all of our intention is to keep only 2 bedrooms for rental to a minimum of 3 nights so that there's not high guest turnover. We've cleared the parking spaces and the septic tank, and we had our inspection. And
yeah, overall it's a small house. It's a 3-bedroom, but we're setting it up as a 2-bedroom. And the third one we're using it as an office because we don't want it to really be overcrowded at all. We want to set that limit to 4 overnight guests. And like Taryn is mentioning, for us it's important that it's a house that we are using, and this income is helping us with the improvements of the overall house, not to create our income at all.
it's not our main business. Yeah. We'd like to use it more if possible.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Paul?
Yeah, so this is our very first Airbnb application, and I want to thank the applicants. You're the first ones through the door, and thank you for this sort of evidence is that you want to be compliant with this new law, and I hope you'll be patient with me as we figure out how to handle these going forward. So for the board's purposes, as mentioned, the house has been inspected by the zoning administrator, and he's issued a letter saying that we can go forward with the application. He's looked at all of the different items that are supposed to be, present in an Airbnb building, and a building that's going to be used for Airbnb or short-term rental, including such details as a metal dryer vent and other things like that. And so in terms of process, if the board has questions or comments, oh, good. I was going to ask for some interior photos, so that's great that we have those. If the board, any member of the board has, sort of preliminary questions, that's fine. But just in terms of process, all we're really doing tonight is declaring lead agency and setting a hearing date, because these are handled basically like a special permit. So if people have questions, one of the questions I had that was answered by the applicants already, I appreciate it, is maximum capacity, which is something that we will need to establish in the final resolution. And it sounds like 4 guests is what you guys are looking for, which makes sense given the size of the house. But basically, we're just, as I said, I did a short resolution on moving this along. And the only decisions there will be, other than the fire department, and, if anybody else should receive the circulation. There's no construction contemplated or changes to the premises at all. So, there's no major environmental issues going on. And one thing I'm going to explore is whether a full seeker review is needed for these, or whether we as a board can say, these are type 2 unless there's some major, renovation going on. And whether I thought of it late in the day and I just didn't really look into it. But at this point, we're going to go forward with the seeker, and it shouldn't be a big deal.
Thank you.
The pictures are very nice. Thank you.
Thank you. We've been slowly making progress in the house and running out of funds.
Definitely that.
It looks like the applicants took some care, and we really appreciate you working with the town. It doesn't happen all that often.
But we definitely want to be respectful of
we
the community.
thank you very much for doing the right thing. Okay, you're on, Paul.
So, okay. I circulated, I can read it quickly. The resolution is, whereas the Town of Clinton Planning Board has received an application for a special use permit from Taryn Burns and Carla Vega for the purpose of utilizing a principal residence located at 468 Lake Drive in the Town of Clinton as a non-hosted short-term rental pursuant to section 250-69.1 of the zoning law, and whereas the subject property has a tax parcel number and is located in the C zoning district, and whereas a short form EAF Part 1 has been received. Yeah, good. And whereas the applicants do not propose any alteration, excavation, or construction on the site in connection with the requested permit, and whereas the applicants have submitted an inspection report dated within 30 days of the date of the application, stating that the existing sewage disposal system serving the principal dwelling is adequately functioning for the intended use at the time of inspection, and whereas the zoning administrator has inspected and certified that the property is in compliance with the requirements of section 250-69.1, and whereas all applicable fees have been paid, and whereas the planning board has determined the proposed project is an unlisted action and an uncoordinated review of the action will be undertaken, now therefore be it resolved. Planning board determines the application is sufficient for purposes of commencing the selection of lead agency pursuant to 6 NYCRR 617, and be it further resolved that the planning board hereby declares its intent to assume the role of lead agency for this unlisted uncoordinated action pursuant to Article 8 of the Environmental Conservation Law and sections 617, 623, 6 NYCRR Part 617, and directs that a copy of the short form EAF, the application, and related documents be sent to the following interested agencies I listed: West Clinton Fire District, and I'm open to suggestion as to whether anybody else should get the circulation. I couldn't really think of anybody else, but
What about the Dutchess County Planning?
I don't think so.
Because
it's a special permit?
Well, they're normally registered to the county, the Airbnb.
I mean, if you think, I mean, if you think so, I don't have a problem with it. You want to try it and see what they say?
Yeah.
Okay. And Dutchess County
Planning.
County Planning, yeah.
Okay, so we have the fire department.
Dutchess County Planning.
What about Board of Health approval? They're okay, right? Septic wise?
Well, the law says we're supposed to get a certification, it can be from a septic contractor, which is what they've submitted. It doesn't say anything about Board of Health approval. And I don't think the board, I mean, it wouldn't be the Board of, they're not changing anything. So the Board of Health isn't going to issue any approval for this. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but see, the question is, like some other older house, like built in 18th century or something like that, they were predated. So the Department of Health doesn't have a septic system record.
Right.
So like the property owner could just install a 1,200 gallon septic tank, but they don't have a septic design and Board of Health approval from the county.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that suggests to me we would not circulate it to the Board of Health. The law doesn't say anything about that. I just, I mean, if, go ahead, sorry.
Never mind.
It's just looking for the, I mean, you could get a letter from the Board of Health, I guess, if that could serve as your certification. But I don't think we should circulate, but that's just my my view.
That's fine.
Yeah, it just says owner must submit a septic inspection report dated within 90 days of the date of the application.
That should be sufficient. I would think.
So we have planning and the fire department so far.
The only, and I don't even know if this is necessary, since it's been a house, an occupied house for quite some time, but should the highway department get it?
I was wondering about that. What do you think?
I mean, it doesn't hurt to give it to them. It really is not increasing traffic, but
sure.
Yeah, I mean, it won't hurt to give it to them. And I think that's sufficient.
Okay. Fire, highway, and Dutchess County Planning?
Yep.
Wait, yeah. Because
Yeah.
your
Okay.
entrance is Lake Drive, right? Not Bull's Head?
Yes.
Correct. It's on Lake Drive.
Yeah, it's the Clinton Highway.
Okay. All right, we got the three. You've got those. I'll put them in the final.
I got it.
I just got to remember to do that. And let me just finish the reading. So, and be it further resolved that the planning board will hold a public hearing on this application and its meeting scheduled for blank 2021. I didn't know what date we had available.
The next meeting. I mean, the applicants submitted everything they need to submit, right?
Sure.
They seem to be in compliance. So if Arlene can schedule it, let's do it.
May 4.
May 4th? Okay.
Okay, good.
So just so we understand, we'll come back same time, May 4th, pending your approvals from the other committees.
Yeah, so I guess we gotta vote on this, but yeah, that your neighbors are gonna get notified of the applicant, and they'll have a chance to speak about it.
Okay.
Sure.
Okay.
But I guess we should just vote on
Well,
this.
let's, do we have a second for the resolution?
Second.
Okay, discussion? All in favor?
All right.
Justin, I.
Sarah,
Art,
aye.
Very aye.
Okay, so moved. Okay. So
Arlene, could I ask, when Paul submits the final version, could you circulate that to all of us? I'm trying to build a precedent file for these Airbnb things, and I'd like to be able to follow Paul's lead on most things.
I
Yeah, it's just the lead agency that he did right now. So we will do the
I appreciate, Jack. I appreciate that. I was gonna say that it would be great to have a template set of documents for these, and I have no pride of authorship, and so if everybody looks at this and wants to revise it, or certainly the final one, I think that would be great if we had like one set of documents and we all just plug in names and addresses, and then, you know what I mean? We do basically the
Yes.
same thing. Yeah,
It'll save a lot of time
yeah.
and it'll be consistent. So, okay, so the applicants, thank you very much.
Thank you very much for your time.
Thank
Yeah,
you guys so
make-
much.
Make sure you
Yeah.
come back on the 4th now.
We will.
Absolutely.
Hopefully
You'll have
everything
to do-
goes smoothly. Okay?
Yeah, you'll have to do the presentation that you just did again, but
Fine.
No problem. Thank you guys so much. Have a good night.
Thank you. Have a nice
You're welcome. Okay, next item on the agenda is the Goldman Fowler Wetlands Permit on Mountain View Road. Do we have anybody? Well, we have somebody sneezing. That's good.
Wasn't me, and I don't have to.
Okay. Okay, and you are?
I'm Jeff Irish, I'm a professional engineer representing Suncommon, and we also have Erica Barnum from Suncommon that's on.
Okay. So, briefly, let us know what's going on.
All right, briefly, we filed an application for a building permit for what would be classified as a Tier 1 solar system under your zoning law, section 250-71.1. I received a call in February from John Fenton, who said that he figured it was completely compliant and he didn't see any issues, except that part of the design had for the AC transmission to go via a submersible cable across a pond. And therefore he said he'd like to refer it to the planning board for review. So thank you, Arlene. So that's basically the route. It's a 139 acre parcel owned by Amy Fowler and, or Amy Goldman, sorry. And she also owns some of the properties around it. So I don't think there would be any neighbor issues here. The site of the action that we're talking about here is almost half a mile from Mountain View Road. What they want to do is locate the solar system on some agricultural buildings, which are located up to the north end of the property there, kind of in the grade area that's cleared. Yet there's almost no electrical load there. So they want to help offset the electrical load at the house, which is about 1,000 feet towards the southeast. And the electric meter for the house is located by the driveway just south of the house. So in order to effectuate the interconnection and get them what they want, we have to connect in behind the meter, that Central Hudson meter that's located there. So so it's a pretty simple system actually, except for getting the AC power from where the rooftop solar panels are located over to the transformer and the interconnection at the meter. Central Hudson has approved the interconnection at their transformer. I think they've been out and looked at the site. The options really, there's really only two. If we just go back to the last one, please, for a second. So there's really only two options to get there. One is we go around the pond, but it's rocky. It is hilly. The soil classification is Nassau Cardigan Complex, very hilly and rocky. We think that to do that would involve some heavy excavation, rock hammering, and probably taking down some vegetation and trees. And that would have to occur within the 100-foot buffer zone of the wetland, or else we'd be facing extensive clearing of trees and probably a longer distance. The simplest way is to run it through a submersible cable. And we've actually picked a location that would minimize the work and the disruption that would be required by utilizing two existing culverts and ditches that are, one's located up at the northwest corner of the pond, and the other one's located at the southeast corner of the pond. Up in the northwest, if we use that culvert, we could actually run the conduit and the cable through the culvert and avoid all excavation within 50 feet of the pond itself, which would be environmentally more benign and much more attractive. At the southeast end, there's an existing ditch that we would have to do a short bit of excavation, and it's currently grass, so it's mowed grass, so it wouldn't be affecting any natural vegetation there. And then once we get through that short trench of about 50 feet, we'd be able to again utilize a culvert to get underneath the roadway and minimize excavation. So so John Fenton referred this to this board, and I just want to go over, I'll go over how this proposed action would apply under section 250-78, which is for freshwater wetlands, water courses, lakes, ponds, and floodplains. So this is definitely either a pond or a lake, so that it applies to that. But I want to point out before I start to go down all the criteria that section H of that law is entitled Waiver of Requirements, and it reads, should the planning board determine after review of said application and upon recommendation of the zoning administrator that an action proposed for a regulated area is insignificant, then the planning board shall have the power to waive any information requirements contained in subsection 4F, F4, which is the documentation of the application. B, waive referrals to outside agencies, and C, suspend the permitting process for the action and authorize the immediate issuance of the permit. So I'm going to request that that you do waive the requirements, and I'd like to then go through what the intent and what the wording of the Freshland of this section of the law says, and explain how it largely or almost entirely doesn't apply to what we're proposing here. Is that okay?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right. So, and I think this section of law is completely valid and well-intentioned. I mean, it's designed, it says, to minimize any negative impacts caused by the development of freshwater wetlands. It says its purpose is to regulate dredging, filling, deposition, and removal of materials, including vegetation, diversion of obstruction of water flow, the placement of permanent structures, etc. So none of these are really occurring in what we're proposing here. And section C of the law, it says the following regulated activities will require a permit. Placement or construct of any structure, so that's not applicable. Part 2, place or construct any septic system, obviously not involved here. Part 3 refers to the construction of roadways, driveways, utility corridors. Again, not really applicable. Point 4 discusses draining, dredging, excavation, removal of material, and the purpose of this plan is to actually avoid doing any removal of material. Section 5 has to do with dumping. That's not the case. Section 6 is regarding the introducing of any form of pollution, which is not the case. The cable that we're proposing that would be buried is the same type of cable that would be used in an agriculture aerator pump or in a submersible well pump that you might drink water from. Point 7 is alter or modify any natural features or contours or drainage patterns. That would not occur. The usage of the culverts and the existing drainage ditch is intended to absolutely minimize and avoid doing just that. Point 8 is constructing dams or other water control devices. That's not here. Clear cutting trees is 9, which we're trying to avoid. Anything that would increase or decrease the flow or velocity of water is 10, and we're not doing that. And then 11 finally is an attempt to regulate any activity that could impair the natural footprint. And again, we're not doing that. So I think, John Fenton was proper in recommending that the planning board review it. My recommendation or request would be that you waive this application as being insignificant.
Okay. Jack?
Yeah, I'm not sure we have to reach the waiver issue because, as the applicants just explained, it is consistent with the purposes of the wetlands regulation, and I think we can make the findings that we're required to make under section I without having to decide whether to waive it or not. We can just look at this and say, this meets our criteria for permissible conduct within a controlled area. So that would be the approach I'd rather take, rather than get into a question of what is or is not insignificant, because as we've seen from other discussions tonight, precedent matters around here. And I'm not sure we need to set precedent on that. It's basically dropping a hose in a pond that is not visible on the road. It's to facilitate, a solar system, and it seems more reasonable than the only other alternative, which is digging a nearly 1,000-foot long ditch. So to me, it's a pretty easy question of granting a permit, within our standard wetlands criteria, and doing something that is less disruptive than a lot of trenching, 975 feet, I think it was, to get from the panels that are over a garage and a barn on one side of the pond to the main house and the utility connection on the other side of the pond. So I have a resolution that does that, but I'm certainly happy to discuss any questions anybody else may have.
Does anybody have any questions for the applicant or Jack? I have one. Nobody else. Do you think that this should be reviewed by our engineer? I'm asking the board.
We could certainly. It did not seem to me to be a huge intrusion. Say it's basically dropping a cable into a pond that's totally surrounded by the applicant's property. But if the board would like, and take some comfort from the views of our engineer, I'm certainly comfortable with that.
How does everybody feel about that? Paul?
I would be more comfortable if we got that review.
Okay.
Just because of what and one of the questions would be what other permits might be required from any other agencies. But yeah, if we could get it done quickly, I would say get Pete to look at it.
Okay, everybody. How about Justin, Jerry, Kat, Sarah?
I agree.
Yeah, I have no qualifications to figure out if this is a major thing or a minor thing, so I'd rather have someone tell me.
Okay, all right. So Jack, we would need, I don't think this is going to be a big deal, but then again, I'm not an engineer, and we would require an escrow from the applicant and have him get it to Peter as soon as possible so we can move on this. I think somewhere probably $750 and whatever we don't use, the applicant gets it back.
Sounds reasonable to me.
Okay. So, why don't we do that? And, then we can get this process moving. Have you worked with, Peter Cetera at all?
I have not. Who is the engineer?
Yeah.
Is it Peter? Is that his name? Peter Cetera. Where is he with? Or who's he with? What firm?
What's the name of his?
CPL now. They changed the name to CPL. Used to be Morris Associates.
Okay, I've worked with Morris Associates, yeah, many times over.
Yeah, he's been there for quite some time.
Okay. All right, we'll get that contact info from Arlene. We'll also, Erica from Some Common can talk to Arlene and get, make arrangements for the escrow.
Okay.
Okay.
Do we need to do lead agency?
Jack?
They submitted a secret request. We can do that. And, set a hearing for whatever day they come back after we hear from the engineer.
Okay. So why don't we do the seeker?
Okay, so I
request the lead agency.
I move that we appoint ourselves as lead agency for secret purposes and set the matter down for the date of our next meeting. Hopefully, they can have the engineer review by then.
Any interested agency?
Arlene, do you know if this is, who regulates this?
Hold on.
Is this a federal or?
Yeah,
state?
hold on. I could tell you.
The map doesn't show the pond as being in a regulated area, although there are regulated wetlands nearby.
Okay.
The photos we have don't show the distance of the regulated
So
wetland.
here you go. I have it. Hold on.
The green is federal and right.
Yeah.
Here you go. Yeah,
And
the green is.
looks like
green,
it's
the blue
overlapping.
is- Yeah, so
Both.
this is the only one, because this is the property. Can you see it?
Yep. The lake is the thing, is right, yeah, that's what we're
So
talking
there's
about.
DEC and
Both.
federal here.
Both.
Yeah.
Well, there's blue around it and then, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So DEC,
So DEC and the Corps of Engineers.
the Corps of Engineers, yeah.
Do you need CAC?
Yeah,
Sure.
yeah, is this coordinated? I mean, theoretically, they might have to give a permit for this. So they
I
might get
don't know.
involved.
Again, I can't tell whether from the drawing submitted, whether the pond is, within the regulated wetlands area. Physically, it looks like it's more than 100 feet, but I can't tell that from the drawing. And I guess if we give them notice and they want a permit, they can tell us.
Yeah.
Maybe they could check the DEC if they need a DEC permit too.
Well, and Peter can also
And Peter can give,
weigh
right.
in on this. He'll know.
Yeah.
Okay.
I
All
mean,
right, we have a resolution on the floor. Do we have a second?
Second.
Discussion. All in favor?
Jack, aye.
Art, aye.
Gary, aye.
Justin, I.
Sarah, I.
Cat? Did we lose Cat?
Cat eye, can you hear me?
Okay.
Oh, sorry,
Okay.
my internet is,
Yeah, tell me about it. Okay,
Welcome to the town of Clinton.
yeah.
Don't
Okay,
worry, the cell tower is getting modified.
Good.
Oh,
So
no.
moved.
I can hardly wait.
So moved. Okay, let's keep moving here. All right, so we've got the resolution. We've declared lead agency. The applicant will take care of an escrow. And as soon as you can get the information, Arlene will tell you who you have to see. As soon as you can get that information down there, the faster we can move this ahead, okay?
Yep. Thank you.
Okay, thanks a lot.
Thanks. Good night.
Good night. Okay, the next item on the agenda, Rosenthal and Bledin, am I pronouncing that right? Bledin, B-L-E-D-I-N, steep slopes permit on Center Road?
Yes, that is correct.
Oh, good, okay. Okay, and you are?
Hi. Good evening, everyone. My name is Chris Knox. I'm with Crawford and Associates Engineering, and I'm here on behalf of the property owners, Bart Rosenthal and David Bledin.
Okay. All right. Why don't you give us a brief rundown of what we're doing here, or what you're doing?
Yeah, absolutely. Not a problem. So basically, this project is fairly straightforward. We're here representing the owners. They're proposing a single-family residence project. They're looking to relocate to the area. They just adopted and are really wanting to kick off their whole family here in the area. So they're very excited about that. Overall, I could just say right up front, so the reason that we're before you tonight is ultimately the project is seeking a site plan review and special use permit approval from the planning board. And that's in relation to steep slopes provision of the town zoning code, section 250-72. So I'm not sure if everyone's familiar with the location of the parcel.
Yep.
It's just to the northwest of where Center Road intersects with Schultzville Road. The parcel is located in the AR5 zoning district, and a single family residence is a permitted use in that area. So the site is fairly decently sized. It's approximately 18 acres. It's currently a vacant parcel. You can see there from the photos. Thank you, Arlene. It's currently vacant and/or agricultural use. There is an existing shed on the site that I think you can just kind of make out there in the picture towards the top of the hill. As you can see, the topography slopes kind of up and away from Center Road. It sort of makes a crest in the middle of the parcel, and then it slopes down in the rear of the parcel down towards Little Wappinger Creek, which has some wetlands and floodplain associated with it. There is an existing tree line, a nice developed tree line along the western and southern sides of the site. On the drawings, you can see that there is a portion of the parcel that has been deemed as acceptable for development, and the remainder of the parcel is in Dutchess Land Conservancy conservation easement. So that is pretty much the driving factor in where the development is proposed on the parcel. As you can see from our proposed plans, we're again proposing a single family residence with an associated carport, a pool, driveway, utilities, and during construction we'll have appropriate temporary ESC measures in place. I should just clarify one thing. On some of our application documents, we had previously noted that the residence is proposed as a 4-bedroom residence. In further discussions with the owners and the architects on the project, the owners are interested in 2 future bedrooms in the walkout basement area of the proposed residence, and so they're looking to have a 6-bedroom total count. So along with that, we definitely anticipate seeking Department of Health approval. We actually are scheduled to meet with them on site a little bit later this week, so we're getting that process kicked off very soon. And then also, since we are on Center Road, which is, of course, is County Route 18, we do also anticipate that we'll be working with the Dutchess County Highway Department to approve the proposed entrance as well.
Okay, Jerry?
Yes, Jerry Goldman. I just want to point out one item that Chris mentioned, should have mentioned, that is the steep slopes is what's driving this whole thing. And in fact, the extremely steep slopes is creating a need for both a site plan and a special permit. So if that wasn't in play, we wouldn't be seeing him. He'd be just going for a building permit.
Yes. Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so for something of this magnitude, should we be discussing about sketch plan approval kind of thing tonight? Because I should compliment Chris on the comprehensiveness of the submission. He even provided a set of drawings for the house, which isn't part of this application, but we have them. And your comment about 4-bedroom, 6-bedroom, that also doesn't come under the purview of this action we're involved in. That's be worked out with the building department and the building permit.
Yep.
So the sequence of things here, should we be talking about sketch plan or sketch plan approval tonight? Is that appropriate, or is that should that follow?
Again, we're gonna need, do we need to have this go to our engineer on the steep slope portion of it? There's plenty of land here. I'm not too concerned about building envelopes, but.
I think because of the extremely steep slopes and they have pretty sophisticated erosion and sediment control plan that he should at least take a look at it.
Okay.
I don't think it should be on the whole drawing. It's a very small portion that he'd be interested in, just in the driveway entrance. But I think he should be involved.
Okay. Well, why don't we, well, we're gonna have to do 2 things. We're gonna have to set up an escrow so Peter can review the plan, or the steep slopes plan. And for the steep slopes permit, do we actually? Yes, we do. Site plan. I'm just
site plan and special permit.
Permit, right? Okay.
Do we need a wetlands permit because of the Wappingers Creek here that will cause us to cross
No,
the driveway?
we don't. The activity doesn't come anywhere close to the Wappingers Creek, so we should note probably to the DEC that it's on the property, but there'll be no disturbance anywhere near the wetlands.
Correct. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the Wappingers Creek and the wetlands are way off to the west of the site, and we're only proposing development work at the east and center portions of the site. So yeah, no disturbance to those areas.
Okay. They've submitted completed EAF Part 1. So the seeker is involved here. They say this is a type 2 action. So would this be type 2 uncoordinated? They're very weak in this area.
Paul, I would think so.
Yeah, unlisted, uncoordinated, yeah.
Yeah.
Unlisted, uncoordinated, okay. So I'd like to make a motion that we designate Town of Clinton Planning Board as lead agency for this unlisted, uncoordinated action. And that involved agencies would be Dutchess County Planning, Dutchess County DOT, since they said they don't have a building permit yet, or a driveway permit yet. Interested would be the East Clinton Fire Department and New York State DEC because of the extreme wetlands in the back. Any other parties?
Did you say the involved? Did you say the involved is DC Planning, CAC, and the Department of Transportation?
Yes.
Do you think the planning is involved, or they have to permit anything, or?
So we should just have them interested?
Yeah, I think so.
I mean, I don't.
Yeah, interested.
The only thing I was going to say is I think they need the soil erosion sediment control plan approval 250-71 in addition to 250-72, and I think we usually send it to Dutchess County Soil and Water, whatever they're called.
Okay, so another interested party would be Dutchess County Soil and Water.
Yeah, they're like a board or a.
Is that involved or interested?
Involved. Because
I don't know if
the detail of this, there's a substantial amount of activity with the erosion and sediment control activities. I'm not sure how that's all controlled and monitored. Chris, how's that work?
Sure. Yeah, I can clarify on that. Absolutely. So basically, the purpose of our erosion and sediment control plan, is sort of twofold. First, the zoning code provisions for the steep slopes do require that that we provide some sort of means of controlling erosion and sediment when performing development work on those steeper slopes. So that's one reason. And then the other is the project, because of its setback from Center Road, going into the allowable area per the conservation easement. We do anticipate, because of that long driveway, and then the amount of work that'll be required for that driveway, the carport, house, pool, septic system. We do anticipate that the total disturbance will slightly exceed 1 acre, and so the erosion and sediment control plan therefore will allow us to comply with state stormwater permitting.
Okay. All right, we do have a motion on the floor here. Do we have a sec, did we have a second? Paul? Okay,
It just, it says we can refer it to Dutchess County Soil and Water Conservation District. The referral shall be completed within 30 days. And after, if we haven't heard in 30 days, we can proceed. That just suggests maybe we have to allow 30 days.
But you have a uncoordinated, right? Or coordinated?
Yeah. Well, I think it's uncoordinated, but
Well, coordinated requires 30 days.
yeah.
Not,
I'm just reading from the,
then you gotta be
Referral.
coordinated then. We can't do uncoordinated. You gotta do.
I know, but the provision says, it suggests you have to allow them 30 days, that's all.
It's just that one soil and water.
Yeah,
So does it means it needs to be coordinated review?
it doesn't say now, but it just says, I mean, Pete may need 30 days. We couldn't, you know, he's very busy right now.
okay,
Yeah, we anticipated that this would be a type 2 action under seeker and not necessarily subject to further review under seeker. But yeah, as you noted, if you'd like to confer with town engineer, you know, that'll of course take some time. And then because Center Road is a county route, you know, also the 239 referral is something that we anticipate as well.
So yeah, that's that's a good point. So that's right. So we're basically, we need 30 days. You're right, for the county and for Dutchess County Soil and Water, and probably for Pete.
yeah.
So this would go in May.
Let's go for Pete.
Okay, we still have that resolution on the floor, folks. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Art, aye. Is anybody voting?
Oh,
Justin, aye.
Cat eye.
Okay, thank you.
Sarah, I.
Thank you.
Everybody's falling asleep.
Okay, so
Seriously.
moved. Okay, Jerry, you've got escrow.
You know, we need to set up an escrow account for Pete. I'm not sure what the right number is.
I would say probably 1,000 for this.
Okay, make a motion that an escrow account be established for this action for engineering support from Pete Taro for $1,000.
Okay. Do we have a second?
Second.
Discussion? All in favor? Art, aye.
Justin, aye.
Jack, aye.
Sarah, I.
Cat eye.
Paul?
Aye, Paul, aye.
Okay,
Now,
all right.
so-
Chris, did you say, I'm sorry, Chris, did you say there's an easement? Is there a conservation here?
Yeah.
So do we
Yes.
need to get a letter from the DLC about permission to build on this property?
We don't, but they do.
You know,
Right, so in our application package, there is a document, the easement document from Dutchess Land Conservancy that describes the restrictions that are on the parcel. And on our existing and proposed plans, we depict the allowable building envelope that complies with that easement. So you can definitely take a look at that too, and certainly have the town engineer could confirm as well.
Well,
It's all in here.
that might be something you want to take up with the Dutchess Land Conservancy directly, don't you think?
Jack, who
I was just saying, it's not up to us whether it violates the
Right, right.
agreement. It's between them and the DLC, and they might want to discuss that with the DLC.
Probably a good idea. I just didn't hear you. That's why yeah.
I know you normally need a letter from the DLC, permission or a letter, if especially the building envelope, just to make sure.
Okay. Understood. Yeah, we'll reach out and confirm that. We did have the surveyor confirm that description as well, but we'll make sure everyone's all on the same page.
Good.
So we're eventually going to need a public hearing. Too early to think about that?
Yeah.
Then we could do that after we receive the thing from the town engineer next,
Yeah.
And there was no request for waivers here, Chris. Were you interested in waivers?
Waivers on the site plan?
Any of the requirements?
I'm sorry. What waivers on?
Any of the items in the site plan or special permit applications that you seek a waiver on?
Well, we need to submit that in a letter form to us. Okay? If it's not,
Okay.
I don't see it in the packet, so, and we're,
That's why I brought it up. And also, the drawings, I'm looking at the one with the proposed conditions overall. There's no engineering stamp on any of these. Are you waiting to come up with a final set of drawings before you put stamps on them?
Right. Yeah, I wanted to give the board a chance to take a look and make sure everyone was feeling comfortable before we went ahead and stamped anything. But we can certainly make stamped drawings available for you at any time.
okay.
Okay, we can wait on that for now.
Okay.
Sounds good.
Okay, the key thing is to get this information to Peter because as far as I can see, the big thing here is going to be the steep slopes permit. And the faster he signs off on it or makes suggestions, the better off we all are on this, okay? Have you worked with them? Have you worked with Peter, the town engineer, at all?
Yes. Yep. I have worked with him in the past.
Good. Good. Okay.
All right. And so the escrow was in the amount of $1,000.
$1,000.
Okay.
I'll be in touch.
And-
I'm gonna need more packet from you, so I'll call you tomorrow. Call me tomorrow.
Okay. Sounds great. I will look forward to speaking with you more about that.
Okay. Thank you, Chris.
Thanks very much, everyone.
Very good submittal, Chris.
Thank you. Have a great night, everyone.
Thanks. Okay. That's it. Just the approval of the minutes. And our specialty, our specialist on minutes, Jerry.
Yeah, I make a motion to approve all outstanding minutes.
I love you, Jerry.
We have a second?
I second.
Okay, discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Okay, so moved. Is Dean in the audience here?
No, Dean.
No, Dean, okay. Well, Sarah, thank you very much for coming in. I really appreciate it.
Oh, no problem. Thank you.
Does anybody have anything of words of wisdom?
Verizon Wireless, we're gonna have to redo.
Jack, come on, you got to have a word of wisdom for us.
I ran out of wisdom about 5 years ago.
Very good. All right, everybody. Thank you. Nice job on
Thank
the
you, Aaron. Good night, all.
nice job on
Finally
the
get to our
Airbnb.
Airbnb.
Motion to adjourn.
Very good.
Airbnb